Today, I want to share with you 7 habits from 10 years of my Wim Hof Method practice to get almost unlimited energy. Many people use the Wim Hof Method to increase their immune system, stress tolerance, and emotional regulation skills. And of course, you learn to become immune to the cold too. But this is just the tip of the iceberg of the practice. Let's go a level deeper and see how habits related to the Wim Hof Method can elevate your energy and provide more neurological resources to deal with life's challenges and simply enjoy life more. Do a 10 to 15 minute Wim Hof Method breathwork session in the morning within the first hour of waking up. This will help you set yourself up for the day. We all have an internal clock in our system called the circadian rhythm. It dictates the level of alertness and energy we have throughout the different phases of the day. Doing certain activities first thing in the morning helps me to raise the curve of alertness, and I feel more energized throughout the day. The vigorous inhalations from the deep breathing in the Wim Hof Method engage the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight mode. And we flood our system with adrenaline and cortisol, which will make us feel more awake and energized. This is a great way to create momentum for other morning activities that require more discipline and willpower, like exercising and taking a cold shower, for example. So I generally go from waking up to the Wim Hof Method breathing to movement to a cold shower. About movement. There is scientific evidence that elevating the heart rate first thing in the morning through high-intensity exercise has tremendous benefits for burning fat, cardiovascular health, and energy. There's a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, in short BDNF. And when we do short bursts of high-intensity exercise, we elevate BDNF levels. BDNF is essential for brain health, influencing everything from cognitive functions and mood regulation to neuroprotection and metabolic regulation. Studies indicate exercise lengths from 4 minutes to 20 minutes to induce higher BDNF levels in our body. The cold shower has multiple purposes. For one, it's uncomfortable. Therefore, I already strengthen my willpower within the first hour of waking up. Second, studies have shown that taking a cold plunge can raise dopamine levels by more than 300% above base level. By taking a daily cold shower, I can increase my motivation to achieve my goals, because dopamine is not the molecule for happiness, but for anticipating reward. So it's a driver for motivation. Lastly, cold showers keep me healthy and I get less sick. One study also showed that people who take daily cold showers report 29% fewer sick days from work. I stack these 3 habits into a morning habit bundle. Just like domino bricks, these habits create momentum for the whole day. I recently experimented with simple movements like push-up and crunches as for my exercise right after rolling out of bed to switch off my alarm. Waking up with movement helps me to not hit the snooze button. So even though I'm fully awake when I'm done with my push-ups and crunches, I still do my morning breathwork session because there's a meditative component integrated during the breath hold phases and the end of the practice. The mindfulness practice is important to me, but it doesn't need to be fancy. Simply practicing gratitude mindfulness can center and ground my focus. And the best thing about this is that I can integrate it into my Wim Hof Method breathing without adding additional activity. Practicing interoception, the ability to become aware of our internal signals, not only enables me to focus and withstand distractions and impulses, but studies have shown that higher interoceptive abilities contribute to better long-term decision-making and mental health. These energy-activating habits that I do in the morning contribute to the normal arousal curve of my circadian rhythm by getting this boost in adrenaline, cortisol, dopamine, and BDNF. But this is only one side of the coin. Energy-preserving and recovering habits are as important as energy-enhancing habits. Try to look at this like this. If the energy-enhancing habits and recovery habits were like pouring water into our energy pool, Our ability to preserve and control energy would control the outflow of water from our pool. Most people have too many holes in their tank, or the holes are too big, or they're constantly stressed and anxious, which is like applying pressure to our tank, squeezing the water out even faster. So we also need to have habits and strategies in place so that we can recover our energy and learn to be less responsive to energy draining events that are outside of our control. Our autonomic nervous system regulates many automatic vital processes in our body, like thermoregulation, heart rate, breathing, digestion, etc. Within our autonomic nervous system, we have two opposing nerve nodes: the sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight mode, and the parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest mode. One of the functions of the autonomic nervous system is budgeting and allocating energy to specific situations. So, for example, when we are stressed or in a dangerous situation, our heart rate and our blood pressure rises and our alertness increases. Everything we need to fight or flee. When we are relaxed, we restore our energy by decreasing our heart rate and blood pressure, dilating our blood vessel for blood flow and repair, and digesting food to replenish our resources. So even though the autonomic nervous system controls processes that happen automatically, as the name implies, many things get triggered by psychological responses. For example, we get nervous when we are about to give a talk in front of a group of people, even though that's per se not a dangerous situation. But we still get triggered because of the psychological pressure. But the crucial part is that we can also actively learn to control it through deliberate breathing techniques and our mind. But why am I telling you all this? It's because it's important for what's about to come. The Wim Hof method consists of deep and fast breathing and long breath holds after an exhalation. Let's take a closer look at these opposing parts of the practice. When we do the breath holds, we can access a deep meditative state of mind where we relax, calm down, and restore energy. The question is why, and can we do that even faster when we don't have the time to do the entire Wim Hof Method breathwork session? When we exhale, our diaphragm relaxes and ascends back to its natural position on top of our lungs, pressing the air out. This process also puts pressure on the surrounding organs like the heart. When we apply pressure to the heart, the volume decreases a little and the blood gets squeezed faster through the heart. We have receptors in the sinoatrial node within the heart that detects these changes in blood flow speed, which sends a signal to our brain that in return responds by decreasing our heart rate and engaging our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest mode. So when we hold our breath after exhalation, the diaphragm remains in this relaxed position, which puts pressure on our heart for a long time. And this prolonged hold calms our body and mind. And we can hold our breath comfortably for a very long time because we are offloading a lot of carbon dioxide during the deep breathing phase. We can apply this principle to other situations where we don't hold our breath, but focus on prolonging our exhalations. So in practice, this looks something like this. Whenever I feel stressed, troubled, or anxious, or if I'm basically in a high energy, unpleasant state of mind, I automatically engage in calm breathing, where I focus on prolonging my exhales and do light and shorter inhales. And if you're familiar with other breathwork techniques, you notice that this sounds very similar to cyclic sighing, coherence breathing, or Buteyko breathing. All these breathwork techniques have been reported to be highly effective in dealing with stress and anxiety. So by being aware of my psychological responses to specific events throughout the day and doing elongated exhalations in those moments, I can preserve my energy. We all know how detrimental and exhausting elevated stress, worry, and anxiety can be. elongated exhalations can be a useful habit and tool when we can't simply change our environment and need to function under stress. And we all know these things can happen where we can't control the outside factors. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we need this kick of energy. For example, we need to finish this important but demanding task, but we feel tired. So engaging our sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight mode, in these situations can be very useful. We all know these stories where people were able to perform inhuman feats in the face of danger. Or, on the other hand, less dramatic, we all know what a deadline can do to our productivity and energy level. We could put ourselves deliberately in a stressful environment to engage our sympathetic nervous system to get this energy boost, or we could achieve the same thing through vigorous breathing, focusing on forceful inhalations. The underlying mechanism is the same as with the elongated exhalations, but the other way around. When our diaphragm contracts when inhaling, we create this space around our chest cavities. Our heart gets a little bit bigger, more room, and therefore the blood flow through it decreases in speed. Ergo, our sympathetic nervous system is engaged to increase our heart rate. Or you can also think about what is our natural physiological response when we are scared or surprised by something. We gasp, a forceful inhalation that oxygenates our body and makes us more alert. So one habit that I established for myself is to engage in vigorous inhalations when I need a surge of courage and energy. I inhale deep into my belly to initiate the inhale and fully engage my diaphragm. I imagine my torso as a cylinder that expands to all sides. A short note, many people imagine full breathing happening on a two-dimensional plane where they push the belly button out and raise their chest. But think more three-dimensional. Our diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle under our lungs. We should feel this movement around our whole torso and not only in front of us. So, with vigorous inhalation, I mean inhaling to full capacity where I contract my diaphragm as much as possible and open my chest. I do this as fast as I can without sacrificing inhalation depth. As for the exhalation, I try to imagine it as a spring that you squeeze together and release its stored potential energy by letting it go again. I feel the intra-abdominal pressure from the full inhale and try to explosively relax my diaphragm and whole torso and let the air escape through my mouth. I don't push the air out or empty my lungs fully. All this ensures a smooth and fast-paced breathing rhythm where I can focus on deep inhalation and short, relaxed exhalation. So we want to focus more on the inhalation and less on the exhalation. I use this vigorous inhalation burst at the last repetition when doing a particular hard exercise, or when I'm about to give up from tiredness when working on something important and I need to push through this. I also do this when I need to overcome a mental barrier. A mental barrier could be where I need courage and feel hesitation from fear, or to start a hard activity where I haven't entered a flow state yet and would much rather procrastinate. But Kitaro, you might ask, haven't you just explained that you should do elongated exhalations when under fear to calm you down? This is where a nuanced approach is important. Fear can lead to action, aka running away, or it can lead to freezing up. When fear leads to action that I want to control and tame, I do long exhales. When fear leads to a blockage where I freeze up, I first do about 15 vigorous inhalations that empower me and give a sense of control before doing a long exhale to calm down. By the way, these subtle nuances can make a huge difference, and that's why it can be very helpful to work with a mentor. If you like me as a personal mentor, please apply to my mentorship program. One of the biggest ways how we waste energy is through low-effort dopamine sources. We procrastinate scrolling through social media, impulsively eating sweets and chips, or watching videos just because we can't get over our mental barrier. And like discipline, dopamine is like our energy currency. It is a molecule in the brain and body that is closely linked to our sense of motivation. It can also enhance our focus and increase the drive to take action towards specific goals. The problem with easy-to-get dopamine sources is that it's highly addictive, and we get this dopamine crash after that we perceive as being tired, unmotivated, or lacking purpose. We all have a baseline of dopamine circulating in our blood, and we want to make sure that it's neither too high nor too low. So we need to train our brains to direct our attention towards meaningful goals and not to be distracted from more accessible, shiny objects. We can train ourselves to like doing hard things and let these activities be the source of our dopamine. So my deliberate breathing habits help me to get over the mental barriers to start doing harder things like learning a new language, working out, or engaging in a deep work session. The first 15 minutes of these activities are crucial because we most likely let us get distracted and seek out a more accessible dopamine source. So we must fight through these impulses of the first challenging 15 minutes of a meaningful activity before entering a flow state. We need to learn to train our minds and increase our attention span if we want to manage our energy. This is becoming increasingly difficult in today's world, which should give you even more reason to invest in this skill. One habit that helps me to train my attention span and impulse control and also recovers my energy at the same time is a body sensing exercise. It has many names and you may know it as Yoga Nidra, Qigong, NSDR, body scan, MBSR or Feldenkrais practice. What you do in those practices is sense your body parts with as much awareness as possible, like saturating your whole body with awareness. I have a few guided sessions here on my channel and even more in my guided breathwork library. So be sure to check it out if you're interested. If you look at it closely, it's about having a completely still body and a very active mind. Andrew Huberman recently talked a lot about this when referring to other high performers who practice an active mind within a still body. There are many versions of this, it seems, like one that Andrew Huberman mentions who tries to think in complete sentences, including punctuation, while remaining completely still. The body sensing exercise is my choice of still body active mind activity at the moment. And I'm curious to hear other examples of this framework, so please let me know your version in the comments. So there you have it, my 7 habits around the Wim Hof method for almost unlimited energy. If you want to have a video on my other daily habits or morning routines, please let me know in the comments. And please check out my other stuff too.